In this video, we're examining the calculations involved with the multiplier and national income. So just set up all of the calculations you're going to need here. The first one you can see is the calculation for national income, where national income equals consumption plus investment plus government plus net exports, or exports minus imports. You can see it there. Sometimes the formula is written a couple of different ways. So the normal question will be where you're given information for year 1 and year 2. Sometimes you have to calculate one of these. Sometimes that's part of the question where imports might be left out in year 1. But as long as you bear this calculation in mind, you can just fill in the blank and work it out from there. It's very basic maths. The multiplier then is 1 over what are termed leakages. In other words, marginal propensity to save, marginal propensity to import, and marginal propensity to be taxed. They are all leakages from any injection that would occur in the economy. In other words, if €100 million injection were put into the Irish economy, but all of it were saved, MPS in other words was 1, it would create no wealth. All of it would be saved, so you would create no wealth. So we need a certain amount. Obviously we're going to save a certain amount, but we would rather that less money were saved, less money were spent on imports, and then less of it was taxed, and that would lead to a larger multiplier. So the formula needed to calculate each of the leakages is written in front of us here. So the first one we need is MPS, which is the change in savings. Now we calculate that by first of all working out MPC. So you can see here that MPC is the change in consumption over the change in income. And that means the change in consumption over the change in income. So you can see there that the difference in these two is 7,000 over change in income, which is 10,000, which gives us then 0.7. And remember that that's an MPC of 0.7. So to get MPS, according to this, then we take 0.7 away from 1, and that gives us an MPS of 0.3. So that's one of the variables then in the multiplier. So just to go down to look at these being calculated, MPC then I've just done is 0.7. MPM, which is the change in imports, so there was a €5,000 change in imports put over the €10,000 change in income, leads to an MPM, marginal propensity to import, of 0.5. And then MPS, the marginal propensity to save, we just worked that out, which is 1 minus MPC, which is 0.7, so it works out at 0.3. And then taxation is rarely included in these calculations, but if it were, the formula is the exact same. It's just the change in that thing over the change in income. So just to go back up to change in whichever it is, so taxation would be here, so it would be the change in that over the change in income. So in this case, over whatever it was, it would be over 10,000, and then we would just calculate it based on that. So with this information then, we're able to calculate the multiplier. And in this instance, the multiplier is 1.25. So when we add up MPS, which is here, plus MPM, plus MPT, which is 0, we're given 1 over, you can work that out, is 0.8, and that equals 1.25. So what that means is that for every injection of €1 into the economy, national income will increase by the injection times the multiplier. So in other words, it'll be €1 times 1.25. The example I've given over here is where I just put an injection of 100 million into the economy. If that multiplier is, as we have calculated here, 1.25, that means that the increase in national income will be 125 million. So the trick is, the main idea for government is to have that multiplier as large as possible. And for that to happen, that means that these figures have to be as low as possible. It's no good if half of it is going in imports and another third of it is being saved in the bank. That's not going to help the Irish economy. So the smaller those figures are, the larger the multiplier will be. And just finally, I've played it out mathematically here, just to show you how exactly that works. So in other words, what exactly is happening here with that 100 million? How does it create that 125 million euros worth of wealth? So if there's a 100 million euro injection pumped into the economy, and half of it is spent on imports, and another third of it is saved, then all that means is that of the 100 million euro injection, somebody is essentially only spending 20% of that. They're only putting 20% of that into the economy. And this is why a multiplier of 1.25 results in an increase in national income of 125 million if there was a 100 million euro injection. So in other words, 100 million euros goes into the economy. Okay, how much of that is actually spent? Of that 100 million, how much of it is spent? Well, we know that half of it goes on imports. That doesn't help. And another third of it is saved. So only 20 million is spent in the economy. So of that 100 million, the first 100 million goes into the economy. The second person gets that, let's just say in a one-person economy, gets that 100 million, but they spend half of it on imports and they save a third of it. So they only put another 20 million. So there's only another 20 million going into the economy. Of that 20 million, the third person gets it. They only put 4 million on into the economy, because there again, their marginal propensity to import and to save is the same. These figures are based nationally. So they're spending half of it on imports and spending or saving another third of it. So only another 4 million goes in to the economy to increase national income. And then of that 4 million, only 20% of it goes on. So that's only 0.8 million. And you can see then it goes, and I've only played it out to a reasonably small extent. You could continue those calculations right the way down. But when you add all of these up, it will tally to an increase in national income of 125 million.